So you've now learned about linear relationships and how the relationship between x and y could be linear, meaning it could form a straight line. But let's look at this case where it may or may not form a straight line. So in this question, we've got cans of supermarkets which are often stacked neatly in triangles, like this. Okay, so it looks like a triangle where there's more and more cans added to each bottom row. So consider the relationship between the number of cans on the bottom row, x, okay, and the total number of cans, y. So if we look at the number of cans in the bottom row, that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. That is basically this section of the table. Okay, so I've already had my answers out, but just explain that. All you got to do is count the number of cans. So in the first one, we have 1 can in the bottom row. There's 1 can only. We have 2 cans in the bottom row. There are 3 cans, which is this. We have 3 cans in the bottom row. There are 6 cans altogether. And when you have 4 cans in the bottom row, if you just count each of them individually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, there are 10 of them. But if you have a look at what it goes up by on the bottom row of that table, this goes up by 2, this goes up by 3, this goes up by 4. So what do you think that's next? It should be 5, then 6, then 7. Okay, so it doesn't go up by the same number as you'd like before. And if it did, then the equation will be y equals some number times x, plus or minus by some number. Okay, so that is now gone because it doesn't go up by the same number, does it? All right, so let's have a look at graphing this, right? If I graph this out, my first set of values, okay, of x and y are 1 and 1. So what I've done is on the x-axis, I've gone up by 1, but the y-axis, I've gone up by 2 just to save space, okay, and it goes up all the way to the number 28. So 1, 1 would be somewhere around here. 2, 3, the next one would be somewhere around here. 3, 6, so 3 right, 6 up will be exactly that one. 4, 10, 4 right, 10 upwards there. 5, 15, so 5 right, 15 upwards will be that one. And I've got 6 and 7. Okay, so for 6 as x value, my y value is 21. That would be over here. And then 728 would be our last point. So that is right there. Okay, now you can see that if you were to use a ruler, okay, in this case my iPad, I can make a straight line like that. That doesn't actually pass through all the points. Okay, so when you actually draw a line that connects the dots, it looks like this. Okay, in fact, this is a curve. So is the relationship linear then? No, it's not. It doesn't make a straight line. So for question C, the answer is no, it's not linear. So if it's not linear, is there an equation or formula that represents these dots? Okay, so what formula would produce the values of y that will create this shape? Let's have a look. So in part D, it's asking that. It's a multiple choice question. I have copied down my table from previous questions. And these answers here, one of them is correct and matches the table values. Let's test the first one, right? So when you test x as 1, you should get a y value of 1. Okay, so if I test x value as 1 in this case for answer A, basically, I will get 1 times 1 minus 1, just by substituting in both of these x's as 1s. Now, that would equal to 1 times of 0, which is 0. Now, that doesn't actually match what this is, because it's meant to be 1. So A is not the correct solution. Now, let's test B out, which is y equals x plus 1 over 2. Now, if I substitute in x as 1, I will get 1 plus 1 over 2, okay? Now, 1 plus 1 is 2, and 2 over 2 is basically 1. So when x is 1, y is indeed 1. That's correct. Now let's test out when x is 2. So if I substitute in 2 here, I'll get 2 plus 1 over 2, which is 3 over 2, or the same thing as 1.5. So does x equals 2 and y equals 3 over 2 match this? No, it doesn't, okay, because these two y values are different. So B is not the answer. So that means C is the answer. And we can just try out maybe just a few values to see if it's working or not. So when x is 1, y would equal to 1 times of 1 plus 1 over 2. Okay, let me just bring this down. So that I'll get y equals to 1 times of whatever this bracket is. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So 1 times of 2 is 2 over 2, and that's equal to 1. That's correct. And now when x is 2, we're expecting number 3. So let's just see if that works. So if I substitute in 2 as our x value, okay, into both of these spots, that's our y value. Let me just write that more clearly. So y would equal to this. And now you got 2 times of this number. So this is basically 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 over 2 is in fact 3. And that matches this one here. Okay, you can even try out the last one. Okay, so if I try out 7, okay, so when x is 7, then y would equal to 7 times 7 plus 1 over 2. Okay, that's the same thing as 7 times of 8, which is 56 over 2, and that's equal to 28. So does that create 28 in the table? Yes, it does. So that means C is our correct answer. There we go.